One of the most significant downtown development projects in the region is now being imagined in Oregon City. It's called the Willamette Falls Legacy Project, aimed at bringing the public back to the riverfront and providing greater access to Willamette Falls, the second largest waterfall by volume in America after Niagara Falls in New York. But a major player in the project, the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde, pulled out of the formal planning organizations for the project last spring. The tribes bought the old Blue Heron paper mill in 2019, and at 23 acres, it's a big part of Oregon City's plans to return the waterfront to the public and develop that central part of Oregon City. Here to talk about the project and the Grand Ronde's role is Tribal Chair Cheryl Kennedy. Cheryl Kennedy, thanks for joining us on Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thank you. It's great to be here. It's a beautiful day.
Yes, it is. Well, let's go back to the beginning. Why did the Grand Ronde buy that old Blue Heron paper mill?
The Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde is comprised of tribes in Western Oregon. There's a treaty that's related to the area. It's called the Willamette Falls Treaty that was signed January 1855. I'm a descendant of the Clackamas people. My great-grandfathers were treaty signers on the Willamette Falls or on the Clackamas tribe. So the reason that we're moving forward in this is because reclaiming all of our history, as well as being the resident tribe of the river, that's the initiative. We are focusing on reestablishing ourselves in that area. So this was just a thing that came along, and we're so pleased that when the property went up for sale, we were in the position to purchase it. So it's to establish all of our cultural and traditional practices there, and it was a very spiritual place, a traditional place, a place of subsistence, and we will continue to practice those beliefs in that area. So it was to fulfill our cultural role in the area.
The tribes also own Spirit Mountain Casino. Is there any discussion of putting a casino in Oregon City?
No, there is not. That's a question that is repeatedly asked. No, that's not what we're doing.
Not in the plans. Well, you just began the second round of demolition at the paper mill. When will that be done, and what's your timetable for developing that property?
Our overall goal is that the development of the property is long-term. It will take possibly 20 years to complete all of the ideas that we have there. I think that anyone who works in construction knows that there are often delays that happen, and so we're confronted with those things daily. So overall, we're looking at a build of perhaps 20 years. So yeah, it's a long project.
About a year ago, the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde pulled out of the Willamette Falls Legacy Project, which includes the municipalities, including Oregon City, Clackamas County, and Metro. And you also left the Willamette Falls Trust. Why?
Number one, the project, when we purchased Blue Heron, was on the books for a number of years, and nothing happened. Everything was at a standstill. We chose to come in, and we wanted things to happen. So that was basically the slow movement. Sometimes there were differences in terms of what really wanted to happen there. We wanted a river walk where you actually walked by the river. The previous plan didn't have that. It was down the middle of the street. And so we didn't feel that that was the appropriate place for it. We took that under our own wings and under our own development, paid for what we wanted to see there in terms of the designers, the contractors, and they came up with a plan where you would walk by the river and witness the power, witness the spirit that was there, and primarily the healing that would take place by having citizens be able to enjoy and to contribute their energy to that magnificent area. So that was one thing. The other was on the Willamette Trust. I think that if people will read the documents, the trust was set up to be a fundraising arm of the overall project. It turned out that there weren't a lot of fundraising that was going on. The effort seemed to be more on, we want to have say over what the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde wants to build on their property. And that is something that we weren't really agreeable to. So that was the reason for that.
There are other Native American tribes that are part of the Legacy Project, the Yakima, the Siletz, the Umatilla, and the Warm Springs. Should they be at the table as well?
They are on the Willamette Falls Trust. They remain to serve there. And, you know, the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde is not into the business of saying what other tribal treaties there are. That's between them and the US government. Those treaties made a lot of statements about, in exchange for the land, this is what we're going to provide for you. Well, they didn't do that. All they did was take the land, took our subsistence in our way alive, and they moved us from our villages there at Willamette Falls, which is at the Blue Heron location. So, you know, we're not here to rewrite any tribe's treaty. We know what ours are. They know what theirs are. So,
at this point, and I know it's early in development, you talked about a 20-year build out, but what are your plans for the site? What would you like to see done at the Blue Heron site?
Well, there will be sites for other tribes to be able to come together to have either ceremony or to gather there. We also have sites that we have for our own preferred ceremonies or whatever we want to do there. There's places for industry, for we're looking at the possibility of a hotel, of perhaps residential areas, but certainly there's going to be places for restaurants and gift shops, those kind of things. We just want to make sure that that area, which was one of the largest areas of commerce west of the Mississippi, well before Europeans came to North America, there was a strong site of commerce. And we continue, and we know that it will be a thriving area again once we finish everything that needs to be done.
Last question, will there be any coordination with Oregon City, Metro, Clackamas County, especially for the Riverwalk component?
We do talk and have meetings with the various entities to this day with Oregon City. We know that collaboration is a good thing, and we continue to want to be good partners in that way.
Chairwoman Cheryl Kennedy, thank you for being on Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Hi, Umasi.